good evening. Welcome back to ASCI here on VCS English with the second week of the competition. And this second week will already conclude the Asian Star Challengers Invitational with a 4-team best-of-5 double elimination tournament. And we already know which of the 4 regions will win the tournament, but only LCK Challenger teams have made it to the knockout stage. So yeah, we're only playing LCK Challengers playoffs again, but maybe with a different outcome. With me, of course, is Quincy today. And Quincy, do you remember any tournament in League history that was dominated by a region this much?
I think there have been some Worlds tournaments where it was like 3 out of 4 Korean teams in semifinals at least, but I don't think there were like 4 out of 4 from the same region. I think that's something that is yet to be seen. There have been times where I think LPL also had 3 out of 4, and that was with last year's Worlds where T1 ended up winning the whole thing. But 4 out of 4 is definitely something new.
Oh yeah, and we're straight into draft. We have T1 against KDF. To recap a little bit on these two teams, T1 is the number 4 seed out of the LCK Challenger circuit, and KDF is the number 3 seed. They actually avoided each other in their domestic playoffs. They split 1-1 in the regular season, so these two teams are on very equal levels, you would expect, coming into the series. And KDF, of course, qualified relatively early on. T1 had to go through the last chance qualification match, or series of matches. So T1, the last team to qualify into this knockout bracket, and now they have to play the first game again. And Aurora's open, and we straight lock in Aurora blue side pick 1.
Yeah, and I'm very excited to see what the response from Lancer will be, because I have seen like in the previous game that he played that he was also ready to play like the stuff like the Cannon top lane, the Wise top lane and stuff. So he is not the kind of top lane that would just sit back and farm on the melee champion or try to farm or try to stay in XP range anyway against Aurora. So he's definitely ready to pull out the big guns here. Yone might be one of the big guns for sure in general, but it's, aside from T1 main team's top laner, usually a mid lane pick. But it's yet to be seen, of course, in other lanes, and I would not exclude the possibility of it being top lane.
Yeah, it would be a very exciting matchup, because Aurora usually is a top lane champion, of course, in Pro at least. So Aurora against Yone sounds like a spicy lane for game number 1 today. We also have the potential combo of Sejuani Yone, of course, double melee. Could even round the triple melee top side for KDF, something I really like to see. The pairing with Sejuani with a lot of ganking power, a lot of enabling and gap closing from those champions. So a lot of pressure on the squishier targets in the solo lanes, especially if Tristana comes in here. So 2 squishy solo laners for T1 so far, and KDF going with a little bit more of a melee heavy approach. We round this out with probably a bot lane Ziggs, but could also be Flex.
Yeah, I mean, all the 3 champions that T1 has locked in so far could all go mid lane, which is kind of the funny thing. But I would expect the Tristana to go mid lane here. Either than that, I think the other 2 just should be played top lane pretty much. So let's wait and see what they will run it out with. I would like a Renekton instead of Kwangdong Freecs, but that's already banned in advance by T1 in the first rotation of bans, of course. And with the Gnar, they also already revealed their flex opportunities, which means Yone will go in the mid lane for sure.
Yeah, I'm not super happy with the Gnar here. I think Gnar's a little bit of a cop-out here. They didn't quite know how to pressure the draft a little bit more. I would have liked to see maybe a little bit more flexibility with a Yone for later on. Put a little bit of pressure on T1 to put their Aurora into a little bit more trouble, because I don't think Gnar can really hurt Aurora all too much. We have the Viego ban here, so jungle focus for the side of KDF, which makes sense. They already picked their jungler, so they can pinch the jungle pool a little bit more. Of course, if you've only just started watching the ASCI, we are on patch 14.17. I think the only competition on this patch right now, because Worlds is gonna be on 14.18 and all the players were played on 14.16. So slight changes, a little bit different. And I think the jungle position is one of the ones where we see the most changes. It's more tank junglers, not so many AP junglers anymore, so maybe a little bit of what's to come at Worlds. And we see 2 more melee junglers banned here, or 1 more I should say, as Skarner hits the ban list.
Yeah, and I don't really love the Na pick either. I don't hate it either. I just gotta admit though, because it is at least something that is fine laning against Aurora. What I really dislike about it was that they really left the flex so early and could have counterpicked the Ziggs already with maybe something like a Kai'Sa bot lane, for example. But now they got to bait one more ban towards the AD carry position with the Jhin being taken away in the second draft phase, of course, which now leaves open still the Kai'Sa for Bull or something like the Kalista, which he's also very ready to play. And maybe we even see like a Senna lane from the T1 side, which probably you would be very excited to see, as you are a Senna enjoyer from my memory. So the Kalista for Bull is something, I also love to see that one, as Bull has been a very aggressive AD carry player and also played at least some games in the LCK before, and he wasn't quite bad there, so let's wait and see.
And what I really like about these two drafts, especially for game number one, is how different the styles of compositions are. We have very long range, very poke-heavy, squishy champions on T1 side. It's all about positioning in relation to the opponent, trying to gain advantages through their long range. And then on KDF's side, it's a meatball composition, very strong, aggressive, dive composition with a lot of melee champions, with a lot of potential to chain CC, but they don't really have much range. The longest range on this team is probably Kalista auto attack, which is not saying a lot. So yeah, you have to contend with the likes of Ziggs, with the likes of Tristana ultimate. So I'm very excited to see what happens here. I think KDF has picked a little bit more of an, especially for lower level competition, it's a little easier to pull the trigger on this draft, but played to perfection, I would favor T1's composition.
Yeah, I mean, T1 is definitely having a range advantage over here with the Ziggs just basically outranging the whole composition of KDF. Tristana also, the later the game goes, with the draw beat passive will also outrange basically anyone. And yeah, the highest range from KDF, as you said, I would say it's Kalista Q, the Pierce ability, but that's like a thing that you can't really rely on all the time. Aside from that, I mean, Yone is surprisingly ranged for a melee champion, but all in all, I would say that they definitely just need to hit a good go button and then snowball from there. And I'm looking mostly forward to see whether the Kalista lane can pull her ahead, because if she doesn't, I think the pick does fall off a cliff pretty heavily.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if Kalista can really do much in a Ziggs lane. Like, Ziggs usually just sits there, farms from 2 screens away, and doesn't really care what matchup he's playing into. And yeah, they didn't really pick for dive either with the Renata. A little bit more defensive, a little bit more of a, backtracking kind of champion. So yeah, I think KDF might have put themselves into a little bit of a hole in terms of drafts. Yeah, would you agree? Do you think T1 is going to win this game number one, Princey?
Based on draft, I would say yes, but I still give it this one X factor for Bull and his Kalista. Maybe he just does some crazy magic on this, where he can just destroy, smash and reckless in lane. But I gotta say, they probably can't, right? I mean, T1's draft also looks better to me on paper, and I think the Ziggs is just a good response by the side of Smash. Or I say response, but it was picked before the Kalista even. I just think that the answers KDF pulled up against T1's first 3 picks, they aren't really sufficient to me, so I would also say T1 probably takes game 1 here.
Yeah, what I do think is it's not super easy to play Aurora in this game, especially if you want to play her like you usually use her ultimate, right? Like to isolate a few targets to try and have your team engage on the targets you manage to trap in your ultimate. It's not really what he wants to do with this composition. Actually, thinking about this, Aurora would fit the enemy composition really well because he could trap the targets. But as all of the games in ASCI, we have an early game fight. And there is Sejuani in big trouble. She has to flash away, but she's ignited. There's first blood for Poby. He gets a reset, another kill. This could be a disaster. This already is a great start for T1, and this is 4 kills. 2 of them, 3 of them to their mid laner. Poby with a triple kill on Tristana level 1. And we start with 4 kills to T1.
I think this might hinder the chances of Kwangdong Freecs to snowball this game in the early game and pull out ahead early on the Kalista pick. I mean, what level 1 Fiesta and Reset City coming out for Poby. Some roads lead to him, as the saying goes, and that's definitely a great start for them for sure. Him just being able to on the head so far here already. He's 3-0-1 in the second minute of the game, already based with just boots and the recurve bow on top of that.
This is horrific for Kwangdong. I don't think I've ever seen someone buy items as quickly as Poby did there. I think he insta-bought his items when he got back into base with a triple kill to his name. And yeah, laning against Tristana level 1 is already annoying enough, but against Tristana with extra movement speed and extra damage and attack speed is just... It's a horror show for Kwangdong.
Yeah, it definitely is. And here we see a little bit of the trading on... Is it really trading if Kwangdong just gets cyber bullied so far? I mean, he dared to step up to the wave and he might just die here. He does.
Well, that looked a little sus, to be honest. Let's not think too much about this. After Kwangdong spammed his emotes and didn't use his flash, I'm a little wary of what his state might be, his state of mind in this early game, but that's a 5-0 now for T1 after 2 minutes. And remember, T1 actually had one of the kill-heaviest games we've ever seen on this channel, which is saying a lot, because we are on VCS English here. We have seen VCS fiestas no one has witnessed before. So I think T1 against... I can't remember what their opponent... I can't remember the opponent team, but it was a 62 kill game last week, so let's see if they can match that score. At the moment, looks like it's only T1 side that can match the kill score, though.
I think they played Max last week. I don't remember which region it really was from, but that was, I think, the name of the team. And considering Kwangdong and Sisione, I think it's almost respectable that he chose not to flash and instead just took the L and died there, because Yone being flashless might have been worse for them if he just doesn't get the mobility going and could just die to ganks over and over again. As here, he might just die again. Nah, make it stop. He left base, so he gets chunked. I mean, that's just the rightful conclusion over there. But one positive thing for Kwangdong Freecs, there were not many, but one is that despite all this level 1 disaster, Bull is still pulling out ahead in the bot lane, as is natural for the Kalista Renata matchup.
Yep, that's true. And you might argue it's better that all the kills are in one place than spread across the map, because at least once Poby is separated from his team, the rest of the team is kind of even, so maybe there's a chance later in the game to have him push a side lane and then collapse on the rest of the team. So that's always a silver lining for the side of KDF. But of course, they have to contend with this mid lane situation somehow, which also opens up the possibility of roaming into the jungle, extending the lead into the jungle position, which is what is happening right now. Guwon is now into KDF's jungle and steals away the first camp. He gets to put down a little bit of vision, and with Poby perma pushing mid lane, it's really hard to get back into a positive map situation now for KDF.
And I'm not sure if he took all the chickens, but he sure as hell took the big chicken there, which is of course the most important one. So the Sejuani is suffering in this matchup already, and it's not even the matchup that's very good for the Sejuani anyway, as Maokai can just really buffer the engage coming out of her and make it very hard for the Sejuani to really find value with the Arctic Assault or any other spells on the side. And yeah, you said the lead is mostly just on Poby, but as Boots just now shows to us, it's not just him, right? I mean, top lane is ahead by like 600 gold, jungle marginal lead, and bot lane of course is a little bit behind, as Smash and Reckless can just farm from the safety of their turret, or at least right now they actually aren't doing that. Right now they are actually pushing up and getting a little bit closer. Being a few CS down against the Kalista lane, as said before, is to be expected. It is like the usual way these things go, and here we see Quantum tanking the wave to delay the arrival of the wave, so Bull can pick up more of those CS and doesn't lose as many.
Yeah, and if we look at the top lane, yeah, she did get the 4th kill, so naturally she's also ahead. I'm not sure, maybe that she even got the first blood, because that gold lead kind of suggests to me that she might have gotten the 400 gold instead of just 300. But yeah, that's really great for Aurora. I haven't actually been able to see too many Aurora games in Pro, because of course she was banned globally in 14-16, so all the players were without Aurora. But from what I've seen, she doesn't really do much in lane. Like, she can be annoying in certain matchups, but she mostly just farms up and then gets to be a menace in team fights, especially with her ultimate setting up the rest of her team. And I talked about her ultimate maybe not fitting the style of team composition for T1 too well, but if you're this far ahead, you can just play more aggressively than you usually should. So now the Aurora actually comes in super handy to set up team fights for T1.
What I have seen from Aurora in pro play was that she was destroying matchups against melee champions, against Ana not so much of course, because he's still like a range champion that can lane against Aurora, so in this matchup it will be fine for him. And she deals a lot of damage in general, but she isn't really the champion that would like one rotation one-shot someone, so it's definitely something that takes some skill to pilot properly. But I think with this competition, even as in between worlds might be like a stylistic misfit for them, it still just deals overall decent AoE damage, and that might just be exactly what T1 needs to like get the first kill in the fight for Poby to get rolling. So I think they should not be very worried about it, especially considering how far ahead they already are.
Yeah, I remember a Kiaya game, I think, where he played the Aurora, and yeah, pretty much after 10 minutes, that nothing happened for 10 minutes, and then he got super strong. So very strong in the first 10 minutes, then kind of a mid-game lull, if you want to call it that, and then later on in team fights strong again. Let's see how a Dal plays it here. Under a little bit of threat, but unfortunately Lancer already used his Mega Gnar form, so I'm not sure if they can really execute. He would have to flash ultimate, which would be very risky. He's still trying to die, but now he's Mini-Gnar again, and he got the tower hit, tower shots. There's Courage coming in, and they actually get a decent amount of damage on 2-1. Dal with a chase, he gets the auto attack, and now Courage in a big trouble. Dal has no mana though. He has a Q back once more, and he has one more auto attack. One more? Yep, there it is. 2 more kills to T1, 7-0 at 8 minutes. That's 2 kills to their top laner.
And that was an over for Style for sure. They had no idea that Gun was also there, and if they did, it would be even worse, because it would just be download insanity when they just go for the 2v2 under the turret. With Gnar and Sejuani, not really the combo where you can really just easily get the kill very quickly here, especially against Aurora with a flash up to their defense. At least the wave was coming in, and they might have tracked that Dal was not really having his E up available. But overall, very risky dive and got rightfully punished with Aurora and her surprisingly strong auto attacks, because she has like a mini Vayne passive going on for her. It's not true damage, it's magic damage, but still definitely hurts, and that was what got them the first out of the 2 kills here. So T1, yeah, just stampeding ahead in this game.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how you think about this kind of situation. It looks horrific when it happens and backfires this much, but I actually don't mind KDF going for this dive. It has maybe not the greatest chance of success, but you're already 5 kills down. So, I mean, trying to go for risky plays, kind of understandable. Where do you come down on this kind of play?
That's actually a good defense for that point, right? I mean, they can't just watch the game happen and just wait for T1 to even pull further ahead and just slowly even outscale them from a position where they are already ahead. So they have to try something, right? And that was something. Didn't work out, pretty sad. And it at least had like the chance to really work out for them. And here we see the 1v1 of the 2 top laners. It's a very huge wave, but Dal almost lost that. But I mean, considering how far ahead he is, it even being close is almost criminal, right?
Yeah, the thing is, Dal, he used his ultimate there, but had no way of actually using his ultimate, right? Because he only activated the ultimate, which deals a little bit of damage, but you really get to deal a lot of damage if you bounce back and forth inside the circle, right? And he was hesitant to go for that, because once he bounces to the other side, he is 100% committed to the fight, and seeing as there was a huge wave and he's a squishy champion, I think he made the right call to kind of just step away. So that is not the whole power, the full power of Aurora Ultimate. She can actually deal quite a lot of damage, be very slippery. We're going to see this later on in the game, hopefully. But yeah, that was a little bit feeble, especially after already being 3-0. Good defense from Lancer, actually playing the lane very decently in this 1v1 when he's almost 2k gold down.
Yeah, it's also how I would frame it, right? He's down against a champion that's 3-0 in the laning phase and then some, and still manages to get like a good trade in, forces Dal to go back and out of the lane, and just gets like some breather, a little bit of time to just sit back and farm next to him, which is like the best thing he could hope for at this time. And here we see the lane matchups kind of switched around, with Aurora actually facing against the Yone, and that's the matchup that I actually watched Aurora play in Pro before, and that was very one-sided in favor of the Aurora. Like the double Q really hits hard against the Yone, because Yone usually just needs to make use of his slipperiness to really avoid incoming damage, and it's very hard to avoid damage if you play against Aurora, so that's definitely not a lane where Pyongyang wants to stay in long. However, there isn't really any lane where he wants to stay, right? I mean, it's either the 4-0 Tristana, the 3-0 Aurora, or a bot lane.
Oh yeah,
Something that Yone
at
also
this
doesn't like to play
moment,
against.
oh, there is actually a decent attempt from Pyongyang. He has the wave, and he does have the ultimate, and another ultimate from Courage, and they get the shutdown on the Aurora. Very, very nicely done. Kind of baited Dal into fighting him there, and knew he had the backup of Courage coming in. Courage had to flash ultimate him there, and Pyongyang had to flash ult as well, but at least they finally are on the scoreboard with the kill and a few platings probably to his name as well. So a little bit of gold funneled back into Pyongyang. We don't talk about what's happening in the top lane. That's just fat Tristana wailing away at the tower. But at this point,
We have to talk about it, though.
Yeah, we kind of
The
have
thing
to
is-
make do with Tristana just getting advantages, no?
Yeah, the thing though is they killed the Gnar off screen, and they killed him quicker than actually Aurora died. So that's definitely something we have to talk about in some extent, because while Dal died, and he definitely shouldn't be giving away a shutdown so easily, but at least he bought a little bit more time than the Gnar did, and Tristana, she doesn't really need much time to really hit the turret there, so it was still T1 taking up all the platings, taking the first turret, and also the second one, while the bot lane turret can now be defended by them. Still 2 plates left to be taken there by the side of Kwangdong Freecs, but I don't think they will end up taking any of them. And with this, it's 5,000 gold the difference now, coming into this mid game, and a very rough spot for Kwangdong Freecs to be in.
One, a little overextended, will probably get hit by the E. No, Courage actually didn't have his E available, I think, so he couldn't stun Gu1 there. A little unfortunate, might have been able to get another kill, but they also don't really want to get too close to Poby, because Poby, at 13 minutes in the game, just finished his second item. That is a 2-item Tristana, and the lane opponent is sitting on components for his first item, so yeah,
my
no
God.
one wants to deal with Poby right now. That is a terrifying, terrifying prospect.
He is more than a full Navori Flicker Blade ahead of the Yone. That's how insane it is. And yeah, with Flicker Blade now, her cooldowns got removed, which is also funny. Either way, I thought about platings, right? There are still plates left to be taken, but it's for the T1 side. So they're already very high gold lead, will be increased even further. And with Dix Tristana being very fat, they might even just go for the turret before the platings fall. I mean, no, that's kind of an over-exaggeration, right? Because the platings just now fell. But they still will take this turret probably with this next push.
Yeah, and I mean, KDF actually invested a teleport and invested time from Lancer, who could have just used this time to farm 2-3 waves in the top lane, maybe get back into a better position in the game. But T1 is still on the hunt. Oh, Poby actually gets stunned.
Poby.
Double CC. Poby, very low. Poby has to get out. W's away and he stays alive. There's the Aurora ultimate. Dal is kind of no man's land, trying to run away now, and somehow he's making it out. T1, no one is gonna die from this fight, because Pyongyang is gonna be pulled back by his own E. Or will Dal actually be... Yeah, he's getting out. T1 walks away. Not with murder, because no one died on KDF's side, but it's gonna feel horrible for KDF, because they had an opportunity to finally get some shutdowns, especially on Poby, and he walks away on 200 HP.
I'm actually surprised that T1 didn't get a single kill of this, because it was a full blown out 5v5 fight with the team being 5,000 gold ahead in the mid game, and actually nobody from Kwangdong Freecs' side was dying there. I was actually kind of surprised how Poby managed to survive as well, because he was really getting pincered by the Yone ultimate there, and it almost looked like he was piloting a war where he was suddenly ending up on the different side of the fight and still surviving. But at the end of the day, nobody dying on either side. I think T1 could have maybe focused their targets more decisively and ended up getting at least 1 kill. And if they get 1 kill, it might just be more than 1, because Poby then would get a rocket jump reset. But as Poby dropped so low, they probably were just happy just not dropping a single shutdown in this fight.
Oh, for sure. I think they really didn't want to fight there and kind of just realized, yeah, we're overextended. We haven't been to base in a while. Let's not push our luck too much. And I think that's maybe not the choice they would have made if they saw the actual goal totals, but it's a prudent choice. And now T1 back on the map, and they're gonna start with the next objective, which of course is gonna be Rift Herald. Poby also can just push whatever lane he wants. He has to be a little bit more careful now, because his flash is missing. So there might be an attack coming from Pyongyang and Courage in the near future. But he still has his W, he still has insane amounts of damage and sustain, so he can still push down the side lanes and apply some pressure.
Yeah, absolutely can. And as we just now saw, T1 grabbing the Rift Herald uncontested, as we would expect in this game state we currently have. Kwangdong, luckily for him though, gets to create the full inner turret there in the bottom, which is a lot of standing gold for the side of Kwangdong Freecs. I think this is a slight oversight, maybe even by T1, to have nobody defending this one. They have a Ziggs, they have a Tristana. It's very good for them to push offensively, but also to counter any potential push from Kwangdong Freecs. But here they go for more than just the inner turret on their side. They have the Herald charge with the Sledge, and that's almost the inhibitor turret at the 17th minute.
Yeah, the timing was a little off, I think, from Reckless. If he waited a little bit longer for the wave to actually pull onto the inhibitor turret. Oh, no time for that. Poby getting caught there. Quantum with a very good ultimate. Poby, half HP. Poby almost there. Will he die? Yes, big shutdown to the side of Bull, but Pull insta-dies on the other side. Double kill for Reckless. Pangyon in big trouble. He's getting lower and lower, but there's a really, really good Q. He's still alive. Now it's a 2-for-2 in the fight, and Dahl goes down. That's a huge, huge win for KDF. They can kill Reckless, and he just collected 2 kills, so that should be a little bit of extra money for the NAR. Huge win for KDF. They are back in the game, still far behind, but this was a confidence booster.
Absolutely, I mean, just hard engage them. Apparently, it is easy at that, as Poby was falling very quickly in this fight. Smash as well, so the DPS wasn't really coming through from T1 side. I mean, they still had down the Aurora, but also he cannot just make up for the fact that they play into a Kalista constantly hitting him. A Yona also dealing some decent damage in the fight, and that was a corridor where T1 definitely didn't want to get hard engaged on. And with this, Kwangdong Freecs with a small comeback, I dare say, winning this fight. I think 5-3 was the final score of that fight, if we look at this like that. And they also took down this bot lane inner turret before, and as I mentioned, so trading evenly or even ahead of this, when so far behind, is a huge win for them.
Yeah, plus 2 of the kills actually went to Reckless, so you could argue it's even better for the side of KDF, because they collected the kills on mostly on their carries, especially on the top lane. Lancer got the last 2 kills there in the fight, so and a huge shutdown for Bull. I didn't even catch how much gold there was, but he got the kill on Poby, so that's probably 1,000 gold. This means Bull is back into the game, and here is a nice little catch on Pangyon, way too overextended. Didn't even get to press his E, and T1 just back on the map, instantly presses on, gets another tower. It's a lot of pressure, a lot of pushing power on the side of T1 as Dahl used his ultimate, and still dealing so much damage. It's hard to deal with him. Lancer, especially in his mini-Gnar form, can't really do much.
Yeah, gotta say though, a Yona with flash and ultimate available shouldn't die like this in the side lane, I think. Either way, that just happened, and we see Poby collecting his 5th kill of the game, and there was 2 turrets at the following play of that, so despite the small comeback fight for the side of Kwangdong Freecs, still losing a lot here, as the Ocean Drake is also falling down. And Baron, of course, yet to be spawned, and the game is still so early, but we are already on 18 kills in this game. That they though, the open inhibitor might also be something that T1 targets later on with the Tristana, especially to just really get this very early super minion pressure on the other side of the map where the Baron would spawn, which would be very hindering of Kwangdong Freecs to make any sort of play around the Baron area.
Yeah, and their composition is almost tailor-made to attack these 2 inhibitors at the same time. They could put the Ziggs into the top lane to execute the top lane tower that's already very low, and in the meantime have Poby push the bot lane to pressure the inhibitor. No one can stand up to him in a 1v1, so the enemy team is gonna have to split their attention, which probably leads to the top lane inhibitor turret at least falling, so you can slowly but surely advance and take down all the towers and even pressure the inhibitors. At the moment they have the opposite idea, having Poby on the top side around Baron, and here we have another engage. That's good one, very low, he's almost dead, and there's Bull, but he will be extended very far forward. Poby with a good flash, he gets,
Winner bailout?
Bailout, and Poby is down. KDF actually in a decent spot. There's Lancer. He's now the ADC. He's auto-attacking like crazy, and here comes Dahl on the other side trying to deal all the damage of the top lane carry, and he's actually in a decent spot, but he has used his ultimate, can't really do too much. Oh, the Q misses. Now Lancer trying to get back on top of him. He's still the AD carry in this fight. He hops on top, but doesn't have the damage to kill Dahl.
Gotta say though, still a valiant attempt by the set of Kwangdong Freecs, but they just got an even fight when still being so far down. But the 3-for-3 at the end of the day, they actually sacrificed Poby, but he was buying so much time while attacking because he had the Renata bailout on him, so he could kill Poby and then still survive in this bailout state for a little bit longer to deal a lot of damage onto Smash, who also fell in this fight and still is yet to grab one of the kills in this game. Is so sad to see, right? His own support, Reckless on the well has 2 of them. His jungler Maokai got a kill, and all the other kills fell on both solo lanes of T1's side. So Smash is kind of sitting on not so much gold. And this fight, where they tried to catch Poby initially, and the fight actually being started by T1, ended up kind of okay for the set of Kwangdong Freecs.
Yeah, and I think this actually comes back to the draft, and T1 is actually suffering from success a little bit here, because they got so far ahead that they think they can just force any fight they can see, which is kind of true, but also their composition really is not the one that should be engaging, right? We have all these ranged champions, we have poke, we have zone control, and they should be playing with those tools instead of just blindly or mindlessly engaging, especially Guwon, I think has been too aggressive with his engages trying to go in, when he should be the one to defend against the Kalista, against Punyon on the Yone, against the Na from the other side. If they think about their composition a little bit more and think back to their draft without taking into consideration that their solo lanes are super far ahead, I think they would realize it's probably better for us to use our range advantage. But here we have another catch on Dahl. Dahl very low, but he gets over the top of the wall. And now Lancer, no, Pangyon actually has to teleport over. He wanted to push down the inhibitor. He got the tower, so I think T1 is maybe a little bit scatterbrained right now, because the bot lane, Poby could have just defended that one. They're very focused on the top side of the map, and they lose the bot side inhibitor tower.
Definitely sloppy by the side of T1 Academy to just drop this one inhibitor turret when being so far. This shouldn't really happen, but the engage is happening though. They just instantly go in and absolutely explode Pangyon there before he can even press buttons. That's the first kill for Smash in this game, and a very important pick that might lead to a Baron. I mean, Freecs is still available. He doesn't have flash, but he can still just dash over to Sejuani. There's no blast on the other side, but it's definitely T1 at least, yeah, beating around the bush, just starting this fight at least. It doesn't look like Kwangdong Freecs wants to contest it at all. Like, Bull is pushing mid lane, and Courage is in the enemy Raptors.
I think they can't really contest. Like, the chance of stealing the Baron the chances aren't great, because they know there are gonna be people guarding the entrances. Anyway, and then if you ever get close to the Baron, you probably have to invest 2-3 people and they're all gonna die, so probably a good call for KDF, a little bit defensive there, but they couldn't really do much against the Baron. And now T1 finally get back into a comfortable position. They're still far ahead in gold, almost 7k gold, and they got the Baron now. The split push should be on. Oh, but Smash didn't see this coming. Very nice little trap from KDF, and they execute the Ziggs in the bot lane. At the same time though, what is Quantum doing over here?
Such a good trap, but it doesn't really get rewarded, as here's maybe another pick with the enemy mid lane also falling down to the explosive charge, or Dahl actually finishing up the kill, which is a 2-for-1 for T1. And they have Baron, they have Tristana and Dick, they are decently far ahead. Of course, Ziggs by shot still being down, but this is a Tristana with Baron buff just pushing down on this turret. They also have Void Grub buff, which I just now realized. This is a very insane push with 2 members falling down. They might just go for a lot here. I mean, they might just try to end, but they probably just go for 2
inhibitors is probably the call here, because the third inhibitor is already exposed, so they can just easily transition down to the bot inhibitor. It's maybe a little risky, because Quantum has respawned already, but 13 seconds still on the mid lane, a 5v4 on the map. Third inhibitor is gonna fall. KDF had such a good plan to counter the Baron, and then they get sloppy on the other side of the map. Lose 2 members, and this really opens up everything. 25 minutes in, T1 has gotten all 3 inhibitors, and KDF are on their last leg in game number 1.
I mean, to be fair, it was just one pick on Smash. It probably wouldn't change the grand scheme of things a lot. This fight might actually, with the Nature's Grass coming out and a lot of damage onto the Kalista. Bull falls down immediately. Renata also gets cleaned up in the fight, and now Poby just needs to hit things as he is getting the engage onto the face of Yone. There's a double kill for Poby coming out, and now no answer left for the side of Kwangdong Freecs. Yeah, Lancer tries, but what can he really do there? He doesn't win an auto-attack battle as Minina versus Tristana, and Courage, with the explosive charge on his back, cannot even recall over there. So probably just falling into his depth, or not so much as Reckless just shades him down. Reckless has 0 damage, but what deals damage is the Nexus here, which does now fall, and T1 picks up the first game.
Dominant performance from start to finish for T1. They had one or two hiccups in the team fights, but in the end, the 5-0 at 2 minutes was too much to overcome for KDF. Luckily for them, it's a best of 5, and it's also fearless draft. So this means they can't go back to any of these champions, T1 that is. So a huge reset, maybe even more so than not a traditional league. So T1 has to come up with different plans, but game number 1 worked to a T, even better than anyone could have planned for. 3 kills for Poby, he ends the game with 8 or 9 kills. I couldn't quite catch how many he actually had in the end. But dominant performance from the number 4 seed against KDF. Yeah, and we're going to the short little break. Apologies.
Okay, then let me say something about this.